Hi everybody, welcome to 32Soft's February webinar. I'm Denise, your host for today's session. Our presenter today is Olena, 32Soft's sensational solutions architect. And I will hand off to Olena in just a moment. First, please know that by default, everyone joins the webinar already muted. Each of you should see a control panel similar to what I'm displaying here, and there's a section at the bottom where your questions can be typed. You can type your questions at any time, and then during the Q&A, I will read the questions aloud in the order they were received. Olena, if you are ready.
I am. Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome. Here you go.
Hello, everyone. Today we will continue to talk about work orders processing in QED. What do we need to smoothly and efficiently process work orders? First, we need information about work orders, what, when, and how much is ordered. Then we need detailed manufacturing instructions. These are bill of materials and routings. We also need sufficient production capacity and materials quantity, and of course an efficient and timely reporting of produced and consumed quantities. These are the major elements of work orders processing in QED. At past webinars, we showed how you can improve maintaining bill of materials and routings, monitor capacity and materials availability with Excel data loaders. Today we will look at the efficient and timely reporting of produced and consumed quantities. We've got a case which might be familiar to many of you. Company A has a number of manufacturing sites. They implemented QED a couple of years ago, but were struggling with mapping their manufacturing process into QED. They mapped their production areas into QED using work centers and entered bill of materials and routings for their products. But despite best efforts of people at the shop floor, they were struggling with inventory accuracy. Components that should be at dedicated locations in sufficient quantity according to QED were not always physically there. There was also a lag between the time product was finished and moved from the work center and time information about this appeared in QED. Complicated the situation is use of substitute items, the products and work orders required. They analyzed the issues and singled out the areas where they would benefit from the improvements the most. The final to-do list had two items in it. First one was to get control over materials moved into production, what, when, and how much. And second one was to decrease the gap between actual production and time information about it appeared in QED. There was an end user assigned to this process. It was a shop floor operator who was handling all work orders reporting in QED before. Company A was already using 32Soft data loaders to maintain bill of materials and routings, and we proposed a solution for materials movement issue using work order component issue data loader. The production plan for the day that shop floor at Company A was receiving consisted of released work orders. With work order component issue data loaders, they could quickly get that information from QED into Excel. First, shop floor operator needed to log in into QED to obtain that required information, and then he was able to download the list of all components required for the released work orders for the day. I will narrow down the list of work orders to today's date and will re-download. So now I see all work orders that need to be produced at different areas on the shop floor, the components that will be required for those work orders, open quantity for those components. That's what I need to bring to the production area from the warehouse. If the quantity was available during the work order release, I will probably see quantity picked. But in their case, they needed to review inventory availability for some of the items. They can easily do it by selecting component item and clicking on inventory report and see at what sites, at what locations the component was available in QAD. Also, if they needed to look at the details of work orders, they can use work order inquiry. This would provide them with information of quantities already issued into production area, if there was any. And based on this spreadsheet, they could prepare a list of components that needed to be issued. So let me create as a sample. Let's say I need to issue 5555 here. I would have an option to issue everything that has been picked automatically. But for the test purposes, I'll just show how to issue a couple of components. Company A was using this list to print a pick list for the forklift driver. This way, he knew what components and in what quantities need to be physically delivered from the warehouse to the production area. Any discrepancies, for example, some of the component was not found in the warehouse or quantity was not sufficient, could be easily noted on that pick list. Once pick list was delivered back to the shop floor operator, he can process with a click of a button all the quantities consumed and move them into production area. If there were any discrepancies on the pick list, then they could be easily reflected here. So by clicking on upload button, all the quantities were validated. Work order issue transaction was performed. Shop floor operator can click on download and get an updated information on the components that still will be required by the production. Here you can see that my quantity open for the components I just issued had decreased, and if I will select work order, click on work order inquiry, I will see all the requirements for all the components and all the quantity issues. In those cases when substitute item had to be used instead of the main item in the bill of materials, they can quickly do this by selecting the item number they knew should be substituted, clicking on substitute button. They've got a list of available substitute for that item, so they can select this one and use substitute for specific work order in if it was required. As a result of using work order component issue data loader for materials movement to production, Company A have got an accurate materials pick list that was based on the actual quantities. The minimized time it took shop floor operator to record work order components issue in QAD, the improved overall inventory accuracy, increased production rate, and decreased work order variances. For the second item in the list, decrease the gap between actual production and time information it appears in QAD, they decided to try work order receipt data loader. With this loader, they were able to download the list of all open released work orders for the day, and they quickly upload or report into QAD produced quantities. In my case, it's just a couple of lines. For company A, that was like around 50 lines per day they need to report. They had both scrap occasionally, but mainly they needed to record received quantity. So they just updated this spreadsheet with quantities that needed to be reported. Clicked on upload. Data were verified against QAD and production has been successfully recorded. If they needed to get an updated information, that would click on download and would see the remaining open quantities for the work orders for the day. With these two data loaders, company A was able to achieve the goals they set, but in addition to that, in addition to resolving inventory accuracy issues, the added benefit was a very motivated and happy shop floor operator whose daily work chores now gained a lot of sense and structure. It's now much easier and quicker to enter production-related transactions into QAD. If you thought that work order processing is labor-intensive and time-consuming, it's not anymore. Tell us about your QAD issue and we will be happy to suggest a solution for it. If you cannot single out an issue right now, it's usually not very easy, but have a question on the loaders I just showed, I will be happy to answer them. For that part, I will pass control to Denise, who is our motivator, moderator, and inspiration, and none of your questions can slip out of her sight. Denise?
Thanks, Olena. Fantastic as always. For anyone who missed the beginning, questions can be typed into the bottom of your control panel at any time. We'll move into the Q&A in just a second, but real quick, I'd just like everybody to please remember that today's demonstration was intended to highlight some basic functionality, and we are always happy to provide demos for individual organizations. We know challenges and configurations can vary significantly. With that, we will move into the Q&A. If you have not already typed your question, go right ahead and give me just a second to switch gears here. Okay, so far we just have one question. We're on QAD 2016 EE. Is component issue available for our version?
This is Alex. I'll take this question. Yes, this loader is available for trial, for 60-day trial, as well as for other versions, whether it's a standard or enterprise edition. It's available, as well as the other one that was demonstrated earlier today. Okay.
Thank you, Alex. Anybody else have anything else? If not, we can move along and I can circle back to see if there are additional questions. But that was it. So, Olena, again, you must have done a great job of explaining how things function.
There's sometimes a question about work order backflush. In today's demonstration, we showed you separate work orders for component issue and work order receipts, but we do also have a loader for work order backflush. That's when you perform everything component issue and work order receipts at the moment you report produced quantities in QAD. So we do have this customized loader for this work order received backflush function in QAD as well.
Good point. Thank you for raising that. Anybody have any questions about that or anything you've seen so far?
I can add a couple notes about backflush data loader. So we do have different versions of the backflush data loader, specifically for, done for different type of businesses. Like, for example, one of our automotive users, they rarely modify the backflush, so they would receive products with the backflush as they are, and then issue all the defaults, right? So the format is different. Whereas another customer, they are in food industry, and they would stage all the components into a specific location prior to release them into production batch, right? So the format is different, and then we have a download button, and with the selection criteria you just put, okay, I want to download all the components which are staged on a specific location, and then you review those components and then issue them, and then at the same time do the backflush, right? So just to give an idea that you know, different formats can be done, and to accommodate you know, the specifics if necessary. Okay.
Thanks, Alex. Great information. Okay, if anybody does think of anything, you have any questions, feel free to just pick up the phone or shoot us an email, and we'll be happy to provide you with some answers, and certainly demo for your organization if that's helpful as well. We'll move along for now, and I'll take a quick peek back before we close out, because we do have a lot of upcoming stuff. We have more webinars scheduled, and registration is open for all of them. In March, that'll be a great webinar to attend if you manufacture, sell, and service equipment. ISB grows huge over time, so an efficient management process is, of course, a necessity. In April, join us if you can for an easy way to stay on top of customer billing. That'll include easily identifying price discrepancies, matching payment details, and how you can automatically record payments. And we also have in May how to speed up your requisition cycle, followed in June by attain purchasing perfection with supplier schedules. In addition to our webinars, we're up for a busy spring. We also, for anyone attending, we will be at the Spring Midwest User Group Conference from March 19th to the 21st. And we will co-present 2 case studies. Both will be on Monday the 20th. The first is scheduled for 11:30 in the morning, and then the second will be at 4 that same day. Additional information about each of these case studies can be found on our website if you want to check those out. And we have Explore. We are again proud to be sponsors of QAD Explore, and this year's convention will be May 8th through the 11th in Detroit. If anyone plans to attend either of these events, please be sure to stop by and see us and say hello. I also just want to mention we have a couple of new people. We are, or as soon as the replay from today is available, typically that's within about a week, we will follow up with our encore email, which will include a link to the replay, questions, and answers. So again, if you think of anything, get them to us, and we'll include those for everybody as well. And you'll always find registration links to any of our upcoming webinars and events at the bottom of all webinar communications. And our final thought, let me real quick check for questions. And it does not appear we have received any additional, so we'll go ahead and move on to our final thought. Anything that is measured and watched improves, except maybe for my son's homework efforts, but that's off topic. Olena, before we wrap up, are we good?
Yes. Yes, thank you everyone for listening, and if you have any questions or would like to look into more details, just don't hesitate to contact, and you can schedule an individual demo or discuss individual issues separately.
Absolutely. We're delighted everyone was able to join us today, and we thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.